Hi, I'm Gold Derby News and Features Editor Ray Richmond, and I'm here with senior editors Marcus Dixon, Daniel Montgomery, and Denton Davidson. And we are talking Oscars a couple of days before the big night,
Yeah.
uh,
Woo!
doing our predictions, um, many of which will probably be wrong, but actually maybe only a couple of which that will be wrong.
Final
I'm getting,
predictions. Final.
I'm getting 100%, so just copy all of mine.
Okay, except for Marcus, the rest of us could have a few wrong. We are so we're going to start at the top with Best Picture. Let's just jump right in. Of course, the contenders are Everything Everywhere All at Once, All Quiet on the Western Front, Top Gun Maverick, The Fabelmans, Elvis, Banshees of Inisherin, Avatar: The Way of Water, Tar, Women Talking, and Triangle of Sadness. Wouldn't it be great if Triangle of Sadness just upset everybody?
I would love
I
that.
have that in 10th, of course. I have Everything Everywhere All at Once winning, All Quiet on the Western Front second, and I am absolutely completely not confident of that choice. I feel like we could be underestimating All Quiet and that they could be following BAFTAs. What do you guys think?
I feel pretty confident. I needed to see Everything Everywhere just win a preferential ballot. So winning the PGA makes me feel pretty good about it. BAFTA clearly didn't like Everything Everywhere. It won nothing but editing, even where we thought it would dominate. So I'm not putting too much stock into BAFTA there. I do have All Quiet in second, just because I think everyone likes it. Everyone likes it enough. I think it's going to rank high on a lot of ballots, but I'm pretty confident that Everything Everywhere is going to take this one.
Marcus?
I'm not confident at all, and I'm not joking when I say that. I think All Quiet could definitely upset. We all know that Everything Everywhere dominated the Guild season. It won, so many guilds, but All Quiet was not nominated at many guilds. And when it wasn't in the same category as Everything Everywhere. So what's one place where they competed together? BAFTA. And what won? All Quiet. So it really makes me wonder. I mean, if All Quiet had been at PGA, what would have won? We'll never know. So I don't think I'm going to switch, but if All Quiet ends up winning, I am going to regret not switching my entire life.
As long as you're not overthinking this.
I can't handle the stress anymore. I'm over it. I'm picking Everything Everywhere all at once and it's over.
And Daniel?
Yeah, I'm more confident than Marcus and Denton. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once won everything it needed to. And BAFTA, honestly, like every year we forget how big a jinx BAFTA is. I think the only time they've agreed with the Oscars on Best Picture in the last almost 10 years was Nomadland. They picked La La Land when the Oscars went Moonlight. They picked The Revenant when the Oscars picked Spotlight. They keep going. They picked Roma when the Oscars picked Green Book. So it always goes a different way, it seems, at the BAFTAs than at the Oscars. So I think this is going to be another one of those years. I do have All Quiet in second place, but I really don't think, I would have Everything Everywhere All at Once is still the weirdest movie that has ever been an Oscar frontrunner for Best Picture, but it's just won everything that it needed to. Like I have not seen a sign of weakness in it yet.
Agree.
Okay. Best Director, we're probably going to have similar agreement, maybe even more agreement. We have the Daniels, Kwan and Scheinert, Steven Spielberg, Martin McDonagh, Todd Field, and Ruben Östlund, and the DGA win for the Daniels, of course, is the biggest indicator that this is probably a lock for them to win the Oscar as well, and they've done so well throughout award season. They actually looked embarrassed at the WGA awards, where they were like, "Oh God, another one." What do you guys think? Let's start with Daniel.
Yeah, I think Daniel, Kwan, and Scheinert have this for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think they might be more secure here than they are for Picture even. especially because Edward Berger, who directed the potential spoiler to Everything Everywhere in Best Picture, he's not nominated for directing. So I do think they have a kind of a clear path. There's still a shadow of a chance that Steven Spielberg has some support just because this is his life story. But, just like I was waiting for Everything Everywhere All at Once to show any sign of weakness, I waited for Fabelmans to show any sign of strength. And other than the Globes, it just never has. So, yeah, I think it's the Daniels.
Marcus?
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. I think you guys both said everything I was going to say. I think the DGA really locked them in. If Spielberg had won that, this would be a real race. But they've won every directing prize that I can think of. So it's funny because no one had ever heard of them. I'm going to paraphrase what Chris Beecham said. A year ago, no one had never heard of the Daniels, and now they're going to probably win 3 Oscars.
And have as many as Steven Spielberg has in 50 years.
It blows your mind.
Well, he did make the farting corpse movie Swiss Army Man, so obviously they have been motion picture stalwarts.
Denton, what do you think? Are you on team Daniel?
I like Swiss Army Man. This is one category I'm not thinking about. So yes, I'm with the Daniels. I don't have much to add at all. They've won everything, and this is, I don't want to waste too much time here because we have so many categories. So I think we can just move forward. I'm pretty confident with this one.
Best Actress. This is one no one's going to be confident in. We have Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere, Cate Blanchett for Tar, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, the big upset winner in getting in as a nominee at all, Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans, and Ana de Armas for Blonde. And I'm going with Michelle Yeoh. I have gone back and forth throughout awards season. It's an amazing performance for Cate Blanchett as one of the people that I've spoke to, one of the anonymous secret ballot people, said it wasn't like he was watching an actor in a performance, but a real person talking about their life, which is probably the ultimate compliment for an actor. But as you saw the reaction to Michelle at the SAG Awards, and just how it was practically a pep rally for her, with everyone calling out to her from the stage. It's hard to imagine Michelle losing, but she could. What do you think, Denton?
Yeah, I'm starting to feel more and more confident about Michelle Yeoh. She's probably the second most confident I am of any of the acting categories at this point. So I'm not tempted to change my pick for Michelle Yeoh. Obviously, Cate Blanchett could win. She won the BAFTA, and she kind of cleaned up at a lot of the early precursors. But Michelle's in the stronger performing film, and there's just so much sentiment for her. And Kate already has 2. It's hard to get that third one. We've seen that before, unless you're Frances McDormand. But one of the things with Frances McDormand winning that third was that there were so many alternatives with Viola Davis and Andra Day and Carey Mulligan. Everyone thought all of these different actresses could potentially spoil that night, and this is really a 2-woman race. That's it. There's only one alternative to each one losing, realistically. So I think Michelle Yeoh is going to pull this one off.
Daniel, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm predicting Michelle Yeoh. I was predicting Cate Blanchett for most of the season. I thought, especially after Cate Blanchett won at Critics' Choice, I thought, this Michelle Yeoh thing is an internet thing. It's gonna turn, all the industry is gonna go towards Cate Blanchett. And that happened at BAFTA, but then at SAG, Michelle Yeoh won, and then Michelle Yeoh won at the Indie Spirits, which aren't an industry award. The membership is open to the public there at the Spirit Awards, but they usually go with the biggest Oscar nominees, so they could have gone either way there. And more than that, I feel like when Cate Blanchett has won, there's been sort of like a muted respect for that, but when
like an inevitability.
Yeah, and when Michelle Yeoh wins, enthusiasm. When they called Michelle Yeoh's name as a nominee when they're announcing, the category, like she gets a round of applause. So I feel like that level of enthusiasm is something that Cate Blanchett has, especially since she already has 2 Oscars. So I really feel like the enthusiasm is behind Michelle Yeoh.
Marcus, you agree?
Every time I predict Kate to win, Michelle wins. And every time I predict Michelle to win, Kate wins. I'm not even joking. Like it literally happened at BAFTA and at SAG, I think at Critics' Choice. So this time I'm just going with my gut. I think it's Michelle. I personally am rooting for her as well. If I was a voter, I would vote for her. And there's a fun stat too. Everything Everywhere will become, if she wins, the 13th movie to win Picture plus Actress in the same night.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if Andrea Riseborough stepped up and surprised, shocked everyone like she
It's
shocked getting
possible.
it all?
I think we all have her in third, right? I mean, it could
Yeah.
happen.
It is not possible. That is not happening. If Glenn Close can't do it on a lone nomination, like this is Andrew Riseborough is not happening. Okay, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Would it be funny though if they say Michelle and Michelle Yeoh starts getting up and it's Williams?
Can you imagine? Oh, wow.
Imagine if people vote accidentally for Michelle Williams, thinking they're voting for Michelle Yeoh. Although it's hard to get them confused for each other.
Michelle confusion. Okay, now Best Actor, we have Brendan Fraser from The Whale, Austin Butler from Elvis, Colin Farrell from The Banshees of Inisherin, Bill Nye from Living, and Paul Mescal from After Sun. Probably, I'm going out on a limb and saying probably the closest, the tightest race of any of the categories at the Oscars. And I've been on Team Brendan all along from day one after seeing The Whale. And nothing is dissuading me from that yet. I think his impassioned speeches have helped him with with the larger Academy membership. Although, Austin has done incredibly well with being energetic and pretty much, he's really the guy who's everything everywhere all at once. He hasn't missed the opening of an envelope this season. So, but I'm still going with Brendan. What do you think, Marcus?
I am going with Brendan Fraser. I'm not confident on this one. And, I'm looking at our odds at Gold Derby. Austin is actually at number 1. It is pretty close though. Brendan's in 2. Colin Farrell's in 3rd, and Colin has the support of 3 experts and 1 of our all-star users. So this is something a lot of people have kind of written him off after BAFTA, which I will admit I did too. But Tariq Khan wrote an article for Gold Derby about how he is. Sorry, my kitty. He talked to a lot of Oscar voters, and a lot of them were telling him, I voted for Colin Farrell. So this is a 3-way race, definitely.
You agree, Denton?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, if Austin and Brendan are so close, and then Colin is right there as well, if Austin and Brendan start splitting that vote pretty evenly, that's right for an upset. And there could be a lot of voters that just respect Colin Farrell a little bit more. I mean, Austin's young. Brendan isn't coming back from a lot of Oscar-nominated roles in the past. Colin has the career. He has more of the prestige to his name. So there might be people that just look at this ballot and say, I want to give Colin a Oscar more than I want to give Brendan Fraser or Austin Butler one. Yep. That's very possible. And Tariq's article is very convincing. And he makes a lot of really good points that could happen. He's passionate about it. He's very passionate about a lot of things. So I could totally see that happen. I'm sticking with Austin Butler for myself. I just think if things get close, go with the stronger film, and that was the most transformative. Although if you really want to go with the strongest film, then you might want to look at Colin Farrell again, because again, he's, Banshees is right up there, and that's what people really love. It's probably top 3 for Best Picture. So I'm sticking with Austin Butler, but to say I'm confident is a lie. I'm very weary of both Brendan and Colin in this race. Sorry, Bill and Paul.
Okay, let's see, who did we miss? Daniel?
Just me left.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with Denton. I'm going with Austin Butler. I think the BAFTA win was a huge get. Yeah, we're 2-2, just as this category should be, because if we were in lockstep over this, it would be weird. Yeah, I think the BAFTA win was a big get, especially over Colin Farrell, who still does have a chance. And just the fact that The Whale performed so poorly, not just missing Best Picture, but Best Adapted Screenplay seemed like just kind of a gimme for that film, because it's so like writer driven, script driven, dialogue heavy, character heavy. No pun intended. So the fact that it missed for its writing was a huge sign that the Academy might just not be that into it. And it kind of reminds me of The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, which went up against which was also a Darren Aronofsky film, sort of a comeback narrative. But he was up against a showy performance in a biopic that was nominated for Best Picture, just like Brendan Fraser is now. And so that's sort of the logic I'm going with to predict Austin Butler.
And Elvis has so much support below the line, and not just a little support, like it could win several below the line Oscars. So there's just, it does have that broad appeal that Colin has, but Brendan does not. So
a lot of people are thinking Banshees might go 0 for 9. And so, I don't know if that's going to happen. I think it may win something, and this may be the something, or maybe supporting actress. But I don't know. I can't see it going home empty-handed.
Brendan was such a popular winner at SAG, but I know that the entire membership votes for the Oscars rather than just the actors branch. So, but we'll see. So, should we move on to supporting actress? Here's an easy category. Here's an easy category.
I don't like this one at all.
We have Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Angela Bassett for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Carrie Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin, Hong Chow for The Whale, and Stephanie Hsu for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I've gone back and forth on this. I so wanted to be on Team Marcus with Angela, and I was for many weeks. But then, oddly enough, what convinced me to move over to Jamie Lee Curtis was going to the AARP Movies for Grown-Ups Awards and seeing her get this Lifetime Achievement. And she made this passionate, wonderful speech. And I just thought, wow, you got to love this woman. I'm sure she's got an incredible amount of sentiment behind her. She's certainly got that long overdue narrative. As does Angela. Both of them have that going for them. Angela only had that one nomination for What's Love Got to Do with It 29 years ago. And then there's Carrie Condon, is kind of sitting around as kind of a spoiler, and Stephanie Hsu. You could really make a case for any of 4 nominees winning in this category, all really except for Hong Chow. So watch Hong Chow win. But I'm going with Jamie Lee. What do you think, Daniel?
I'm not confident about it, but I'm still on Angela Bassett, and only because I look at Carrie Condon, I look at Jamie Lee Curtis, and I don't know who to switch to or why. Carrie Condon does have that, factor. She could be that lone supporting actress winner, kind of like Tilda Swinton and Michael Clayton, or Laura Dern in Marriage Story, where she, the film just gets one thing and it's supporting actress. She could also be like the Juliette Binoche of this race, where the younger European actress beats the career achievement contenders. So that could happen as well. Jamie Lee Curtis also has the career achievement thing that that is helping Bassett, but it's not impossible to win Oscar without SAG or BAFTA. Sean Penn did it for Mystic River. Regina King did it for If Beale Street Could Talk. So, Angela Bassett built that momentum so early that, you know, the fact that SAG and BAFTA were divided makes me wonder. It's like, okay, maybe there's not enough. Maybe they didn't catch her. Maybe it wasn't enough to catch what she had already built. So that's what I'm going with. But again, that reasoning could be burst just like it could be for anyone in this category.
What do you think, Denton? You agree?
No, I'm gonna go with Jamie Lee Curtis. Again, I think with a close race, I want to go with sort of the one that has the stronger film. You know, the difference between Angela and Regina is that everyone has seen Angela's film. I mean, there was a lot of talk about screener issues when Regina missed out at SAG and all of that other stuff. I don't know how true that is. But I don't think there's anyone that is missing out on Angela's performance. And the additional fact that it's a comic book movie, it's just hard for me to wrap my head around. I have Jamie Lee Curtis because it's so against type. She's in The Strongest movie. It's funny. She's completely unrecognizable. What I'm really worried about is Carrie Condon. I mean, the whole European swath of voters, the Banshees fans, to me, she could be the real spoiler here. That BAFTA win. And yeah, they liked Banshees a little bit more, but it didn't win for Colin, and it didn't win for picture. Carrie pulled it off, and Barry. But I'm more concerned about Carrie upsetting here. I'm not switching to her at this point. I'm gonna, just because I would love to see Jamie Lee Curtis win an Oscar, and I would love to see Angela win an Oscar. I just feel like it's getting more and more difficult to see Angela happening, even though she's still ahead in our odds. I mean, if you look at our overall odds, Angela Bassett is number one, followed by Carrie. And then it's sort of a significant third place for Jamie Lee Curtis. And Jamie Lee has not only the same narrative as Angela to sort of split that vote, but she also has Stephanie Hsu potentially pulling some of her votes away for the same film. So again, all of that benefits Carrie Condon. So even though I'm talking myself into Carrie right now, I'm just going to stick with Jamie, but not surprised at all if Carrie wins this.
Yeah,
So
I was
Marcus,
talking myself into Carrie Condon too a little bit as I was defending Angela Bassett.
so Marcus, have you thrown Angela into the bus yet?
I will never ever throw her under the bus. I will not switch away from her. I don't think I can at this point. I'm too far, into this. But if I could let myself switch, I would switch to Carrie Condon. I think it's gonna be Carrie Condon, but I'm okay getting this wrong because I've been on calling Angela since October. So I would love to be right on this, but I'm okay if I'm wrong because of what happened at SAG and BAFTA. BAFTA, I understand Angela losing, but SAG was a shocker to me. I was at a SAG screening of Black Panther, and every voter, whenever Angela came on screen, they were screaming and yelling and hooting and hollering. I'm like, she's winning SAG. Maybe she's winning the Oscar. And that's why I was so shocked on SAG night. I think, Denton, I was with you and Chris Beecham, and I just couldn't believe when they called Jamie's name. I couldn't believe it.
Well, I don't think we're going to be as divided on the next category for supporting actor. Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Barry Cogan for Banshees of Inisherin, Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans, Brendan Gleeson for Banshees, and Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway. And except for BAFTA, Ke Huy Quan is swept awards season, all the guilds, all everything, and he deserves it. He's got this one. I think you guys would agree. This is, except for maybe international film, this is the biggest walk of the night. Marcus.
Yeah, I'm looking at the odds right now. Key has all 26 experts predicting him 100%. One of our top 24 is going with Brendan Gleeson, which I think is interesting. I don't know, maybe they haven't updated in a while. And then one of our all-stars is going with Barry. So there you go. I think this is one of those lock categories where I don't think about this category much.
Yeah. as long as Judd Hirsch doesn't win. I don't know. He, I just don't. He gave a great performance. I just don't think it was that one scene should get you an Oscar. Although it's happened before. It happened with Judi Dench in, what was it? My wife just shouted out Judi Dench.
Shakespeare in Love.
Shakespeare in Love.
Shakespeare in Love.
She was in about 8 minutes or something like that, I think.
It happened at the Emmys with Margot Martindale 2 years in a row too. Like one scene, 30 seconds to a minute long, and she wins an Emmy.
And I think Beatrice Straight was in Network for 5 minutes and won.
5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. So Daniel Denton, you're we're all in agreement here.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. He lost the BAFTA, so I guess nothing's a lock for sure, but I don't put any stock in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lost BAFTA to exactly the person he needed to lose BAFTA to. Because if it had been Brendan Gleeson, it might be another story that might have picked up momentum. But I don't think Barry has much of a shot here. Ke Huy Quan just seems like a walk.
So adapted screenplay we'll move on to. We've got All Quiet on the Western Front, Women Talking. Such diverse nominees: Glass Onion, Living, and Top Gun: Maverick. I'm going with Women Talking. I think they're going to want to reward Sarah Polley and a female-centric woman-run project. But All Quiet, if you could make an argument that if the All Quiet bandwagon gets rolling, this is adapted as one of the ones that's going to win. What do you think, Daniel?
I've actually got All Quiet on the Western Front winning. There's just so much more support for the film. It's a very atypical winner for writing. Like the war films don't usually, even when they do well elsewhere, they're not usually like big contenders for writing. But this is a famous novel, adapted into German for the first time. And Women Talking, if it hadn't gotten that Best Picture nomination, it probably just barely got that Best Picture nomination. Then I don't even think it would be a factor in this race. As much as I love the film, if it wins, I'm going to be ecstatic because it's my favorite screenplay in this category. But I'm going with All Quiet on the Western Front just based on how it's done so far throughout the season.
Marcus, what do you think?
This is a toughie, and I will say I switched on March 8th from Women Talking to All Quiet on the Western Front, but I'm not confident at all. Chris Beecham talked to a lot of secret Oscar voters, and this category in particular was, I think 2 people went with Women Talking, 2 went with All Quiet. I think 2 went with Top Gun.
There are a couple Glass Onions too.
2 went with Glass Onion. So anything could win in this category, really. And maybe, even Living could win in this category. Like this is a 5-way race, but I am going with All Quiet because of the support. And like I said, when we talked about Best Picture, All Quiet could win Best Picture. It could happen, people. And if we're watching the Oscar ceremony, adapted screenplay will be one of the first categories. If All Quiet wins that, I'm going to start wondering, oh no, what's going to happen in Best Picture? But if Women Talking wins this, I don't think All Quiet can win Best Picture.
Denton?
Yeah, Women Talking is heavily favored to win this. I'm looking at our odds. It has over twice as many votes or predictions as All Quiet on the Western Front, which is in second. I've been looking through this. That doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense. If you look at the history of this category, the winner of adapted screenplay not only often goes to the winner of Best Picture. If it doesn't go to the winner of Best Picture, it goes to a film that's nominated 4, 5, 6 times. Women Talking has this nomination and nothing else other than Best Picture, which it probably slid in 9th or 10th. Like it probably barely made the cut there. So I'm not confident that Women Talking is going to win this. It just doesn't have that broad support. I'm going with All Quiet on the Western Front. I have Top Gun Maverick in second and Women Talking in third. I just don't think Women Talking is going to happen.
Sarah Polley is such an awards season darling that she's on every award show. When Mark Wahlberg called her movie the wrong thing, she then made fun of him at the Spirit Awards. Women Are Talking. Like
these voters have no feelings.
People love Sarah Polley.
They love Glenn Close, and they just dragged her. They dragged her through the mud in a heavy gold dress, and they didn't care. And then they stomped all over her Oscar and gave it to someone else. I don't think they care that much about Sarah Polley or this movie.
You got to figure that women in the Academy, though, are conscious of that and may want to reward it.
We'll
But
see. I mean, we'll see. It's
yeah,
the statistics are not on its side. You look, I
Mhm.
mean, you look at the history of this category. Since in the last 25 years, no film has won best screenplay with only 2 Oscar nominations.
Hmm.
Shall we move on to original screenplay? We have Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fablemans, Banshees, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. Uh, Big surprise the Triangle of Sadness got in, I think. Just saw that. I just saw it about 10 days ago. What a twisted film.
Hmm. I loved the puke. I wanted more puke.
Okay, you are now down for pro puke, Marcus. And I'm going with Everything Everywhere here. I'm figuring that this is going to be part of its Oscar night sweep. The Fablemans, as much as I like the film, is kind of over at this point. Banshees, I think I don't think it's going to be Tar. I think Banshees has got the best shot at this, and Martin McDonagh out of the rest. But I think it's pretty clearly Everything Everywhere, and this will simply, it won WGA, and I think that's a pretty good indicator. What do you think, Denton?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Everything Everywhere here. It's really close between this and Banshees. I had Banshees for most of the season, and I just switched. I think when you think of original, Everything Everywhere is the most original. A lot of people might prefer the script and the dialogue heaviness of Banshees, but I just think Everything Everywhere is going to ride this wave.
Daniel?
Yeah, I agree. It's going to ride the wave. I think, whenever Everything Everywhere All at Once has done well, it's won the writing award, like at Critics' Choice. Yeah, the only times that Banshees has won is when Everything Everywhere All at Once didn't, and that's the Golden Globes and the BAFTAs. So I feel like it's just kind of going to go along for the ride. Like we were talking about with Sarah Polley, I don't think voters are that sentimental in terms of wanting to spread the wealth. I think if they like something, they just like it, and they will like it as much as they can. And if you give them the opportunities to. So I think Everything Everywhere.
Marcus, you agree?
Yeah, I think 2 months ago, this was a real race, but it has solidified around the Daniels, and this will be their first of 3 Oscars on Sunday night.
Good shot. Okay, cinematography. All Quiet on the Western Front, Elvis, Empire of Light, Tar, and Bardo. This looks like, to my mind, pretty safely in the All Quiet column. Although Elvis has got a shot. If Elvis does, there could be a mini sweep for Elvis for its categories. And if you're looking at that as a possibility, then it could grab cinematography. But I think All Quiet, for one thing, deserves it. I mean, it was also my favorite film of the year. Just incredibly compelling and disturbing and wrenching and powerful. And the cinematography is a big part of that. Daniel, how do you weigh in?
I've got All Quiet on the Western Front, but I think it's actually pretty close with Elvis. It's Elvis is so strong below the line, it could potentially win as many or more Oscars than Everything Everywhere All at Once, depending on how things turn out. Like it could win a couple other categories that we're going to talk about soon. And the fact that it would be a historic win for the first woman ever to win that award, like Mandy Walker, she was also she won the American Society of Cinematographers Award. She was the first woman ever to do that. So I think that places her like really as the alternative to All Quiet. And I think it's gonna be close, but I'm sticking with All Quiet.
Marcus?
Yeah, I switched on Wednesday to All Quiet, but I mean everything Daniel just said. I mean Elvis is really in there. This is a close category, and I think if the narrative is out there that are the voters aware that she would be the first female, I think that could influence their votes. I don't know how many of the thousands of voters are aware of that. I hope they are, but I don't know. This one I may switch back. I had Elvis. I switched to All Quiet. I may switch back to Elvis. So I'm not sure on this one at all.
But also, if you buy into the idea that Baz Luhrmann got screwed, this is the closest you can come to honoring him for the film, despite his being snubbed. Denton, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a race. I have All Quiet out in front, and they have quite a lead in our predictions as well. They have like over 6,000 people predicting them, and Elvis has just over 600. So, I mean, it's a gap on our website. But All Quiet wasn't even nominated for the ASC, and there's only 2 films that have ever won without an ASC nomination, and that was Glory and Pan's Labyrinth, I think. So it's very uncommon for someone to not even get in with that guild and then come and win an Oscar. But I think what the difference here is that, you know, All Quiet's sort of late breaker status, and the fact that it won the BAFTA and it's sort of like picking up steam as we're going. I have to think it's probably going to be the 3rd film to enter that stat on Sunday.
Daniel? Oh, you already weighed in.
Yeah.
Marcus, are we all, yeah, we're all weighed. Okay. Costume design, we have Elvis, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is probably not its strongest category. Babylon and Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. And I think this is a pretty obvious one for Elvis. You know, if you're going to give this movie anything, I think costume design has got to be right at the top. Although Black Panther, you know, amazing costumes as well. I mean, it's a little bit of a race, but you know, when I flash on Elvis, I think exactly of how he was dressed in the costumes, and everybody. I mean, it was just so beautifully done for the period. And that's the costume designer's credit. What do you think, Marcus?
Early on, I had Black Panther, Ruth Carter, but I'm just not feeling the love for that movie as much as I would love for it to be loved. So I just switched to Elvis about a month ago, and I haven't looked back at all. And I mean, Ruth Carter won for the first Black Panther, so she is in this race. Don't get me wrong, but I do wonder if maybe they're over Black Panther at this point. I guess we'll see if Angela Bassett wins.
What do you think, Denton?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I have Elvis out front and Black Panther in second. You know, there might be a little bit of an underestimation in Everything Everywhere. Just the fact that it is such a well-liked movie, and there are a lot of unique costumes. I think people sort of don't think of that first when they think of the movie, but you know, it might be a little stronger than people think. With Black Panther, Ruth Carter won so recently, and this is a sequel. You know, I think that hurts her a little bit. And again, Elvis is just so strong below the line. I think this is one that it actually wins. And Catherine Martin, this will be her 5th Oscar.
Wow.
Daniel, are you down, Dale, for Elvis?
Yeah, I'm going with Elvis. You know, the power of Catherine Martin, and the fact that Black Panther Wakanda Forever didn't have to face Elvis at the Costume Designers Guild and still lost. It lost to Everything Everywhere All at Once. Even though I'd argue Black Panther has the most costumes, the showiest costumes. But yeah, there just doesn't seem to be enthusiasm around them this time. Probably partly because they're a sequel, so voters feel like they've already kind of awarded these kinds of costumes before. So yeah, I think Elvis takes this. I'm fairly confident about it. Though watch Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris take this.
Editing, we have Everything Everywhere All at Once, Top Gun Maverick, Banshees, Elvis, and Tar. And I mean, if you love Everything Everywhere All at Once, it's, to my mind, it's all about editing. I mean, I feel like this is almost its strongest category. You know, without the great editing, this could have just been a horrible mishmash of confusion. I mean, you know, and it was confusing enough as it was until you really picked up on the narrative. But The
Mhm.
editing is just brilliant, and I feel like
Even James Hong was confused, as he said in his SAG speech.
that's right. God, that man needs to star in his own film. But I feel like this is almost except for Ke Huy Quan, is almost everything everywhere's safest lock in the race. What do you think, Daniel?
I've got everything everywhere all at once. I don't think it's a total lock. I do think there's still a slight chance for Top Gun Maverick, but if it could win editing at the BAFTAs, who really didn't like the film that much, it won nothing but editing. Then and the fact that it has such conspicuous editing, I think it's got this.
Yeah, you agree, Denton?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with exactly what Daniel said. I mean, the BAFTAs was the lock for me. The fact that it won there and it won nothing else, that's a strength that I wasn't expecting them to have. At the Ace Eddies, they split because Top Gun and Everything Everywhere are in comedy and drama separately, so we got no help from the guild. But yeah, I'm going with Everything Everywhere.
Marcus, you too?
Yeah, I mean, I was predicting Top Gun for a while before BAFTA, but then after BAFTA, I mean, after Ace Eddies, it seems like a safe bet that Everything Everywhere is going to win this.
Makeup and hair, we have The Whale, Elvis, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, The Batman, and All Quiet on the Western Front. And I think it's been pretty much back and forth between The Whale and Elvis in terms of favorites and what people are going for. I think in large part, I think it depends on who you're picking for Best Actor.
Yeah.
I think whoever's picking Austin Butler, generally thinking Elvis for makeup and hair, and if you're picking Brendan, you're thinking The Whale. So I'm on with Brendan, so I'm thinking The Whale could. It's hard to imagine, to my mind, The Whale losing after how much work they put into the prosthetics and making him look 600 pounds when he probably weighs, well, he probably weighs 2. He's not a thin guy, but I mean, it was an amazing job. I mean, you feel everything about his discomfort, just looking at him. What do you think, Marcus?
I'm going with The Whale as well. All we heard before anyone saw this movie was, the makeup is incredible. Like, they released a photo and everyone's like, look, is that Brendan Fraser? It doesn't even look like him. And compare that to Elvis, where, Tom Hanks' character was also in a fat suit, but all I heard was negative things about that prosthetic. So for that reason alone, I think I'm going with The Whale. And also what you said about the acting matching up with makeup, I have Brendan winning, so that's why another reason I'm going for The Whale.
Yeah, Denton, you too? No.
Yeah, I mean, with the actor goes the makeup. I have Elvis. And yeah, I agree with what you said. I mean, I think people were impressed with Brendan's makeup right off the bat, and more so than they were Tom Hanks. But Elvis has a lot more of everything. So, and they have hair. I mean, there's so many people have hair. There's no hair in The Whale. Like, there are hairstylists voting for this too. It's makeup and hair. And I think there might be some people that are a little turned off by this whole fat suit situation. There's voters that really aren't into that. And there's even some Academy members that said they should have just cast a 600-pound man if they want to make a movie like that.
Pretty small number of candidates then.
Yeah. I mean, hey, this wasn't me. I'm just delivering the news.
And the Batman has a fat suit in it too, with the Penguin.
Well, I know, but what's interesting, what if Colin Farrell pulls off a shocker, then does Batman win here? If I was voting, I would vote for Batman. I think they really deserve the makeup award. These are all great contenders. All Quiet's great. It's very unique. And then Black Panther, of course. But again, the sequel situation. But yeah, I'm going for Elvis, even though, it's the typical Elvis hair, and Tom Hanks didn't get the greatest reviews for his prosthetics, but
No.
I just feel like Elvis is the stronger film. I won't be surprised if The Whale wins. And if The Whale does win, I'll be a little more nervous about Best Actor coming up later in the night.
Daniel, you too? Are you with Elvis on this?
I'm with Elvis. I think it has the most of everything. There's a little backlash towards The Whale. There's a little backlash towards Elvis in terms of, how it uses its prosthetics. I would not count out the Batman because I'm thinking a few years ago, Suicide Squad winning this, another DC movie. So maybe that's, what we're all underestimating. The Batman won the Gold Derby Film Award. It should be noted for best makeup and hairstyling.
Yeah.
So there is support. We also nominated it for Best Picture, so I don't know if it has the same support in the Academy. But it's certainly a contender here. But yeah, I think Elvis, the transformation of Tom Hanks, plus the transformation of Austin Butler and everyone else in period makeup and hairstyles, and the fact that it's the better liked movie overall. That's so I'm going with Elvis.
Production design, we have Elvis, The Fabelmans, Babylon, Avatar: The Way of Water, and All Quiet. I'm going with Elvis on this one. There's no doubt in my mind it's going to win some awards on Sunday, Elvis. And I don't think it's going to win hair and makeup, so I think it's going to win production design. I have The Fabelmans second. I have All Quiet actually fifth here, which may really be underestimating it. We may be completely, as we've talked about, Marcus, completely underestimating that film in general, and how it's going to perform through the night. But I've got Elvis here. What do you think, Daniel?
I've actually got Babylon. It's relatively rare for a film to win this without a Best Picture nomination, and there's not a lot of love for Babylon overall. But it tends to win this. I think it won the BAFTA, even though the BAFTAs didn't show a lot of enthusiasm for the film overall either. It's certainly arguably the showiest production design. So I think I've got Elvis a close second. I personally think those are the only two that are really in it. But yeah, Babylon just barely.
Marcus?
Babylon was the last of these nominees that I saw. I saw it more recently. And before I saw it, I'm like, oh, Elvis is probably going to win production design. This is kind of an easy call. And then I watched Babylon and I'm like, well, hold on. This production design is absolutely phenomenal. It's a very long movie. So there are a lot of different scenes that take place in old Hollywood. And there's a lot of exterior shots. And I was just blown away. And I'm like, what does Tom O'Neill always say? It's the movie with the most. And Babylon has the most production design. Maybe Avatar, could claim that as well. But Babylon is my prediction.
Denton?
Yeah, I struggled with this one. I was very close to just switching to Elvis at the last minute, because this is the only thing I have Babylon winning. But it did win BAFTA and the Art Directors Guild, and it's the only thing it won at BAFTA. So the fact that they voted for it, even though they voted for it in no other category, tells me that it's possible. I also looked through, some recent history of this category. And when sort of one film only wins Best Production Design, if you look at something like a Sweeney Todd or a film like that, it's up against all Best Picture contenders that are strong. So it's like those Best Picture contenders sort of canceled each other out a little bit. And this one sort of less favorable movie with amazing production design comes through and takes it. So that's why I'm just going to stick with Babylon, and it's the only one I have for that film.
That takes us to score, where we have Babylon, All Quiet on the Western Front, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and The Fabelmans. And speaking of Babylon, this is the only category that I'm picking it for. Justin Hurwitz, the man is kind of an Oscar magnet. And I feel like score was along with, to some degree, production design, its strongest category. And Justin is really, I've seen him at a lot of events and making the rounds. during awards season. He's working it. So I feel like I've got All Quiet in second and Banshees in third, but I think this is Babylon's category. What do you think, Marcus?
This is a hard one. It's funny that if you watch the Oscar commercials on ABC, they're using Justin's score from Babylon, and with all these montages of all the movies that are nominated. So clearly, whoever is making those commercials is a fan of the score. And it's also this very loud, noticeable score, which tends to win. I mean, if you notice the score, you're more likely to vote for it. But that said, Netflix is going all out for All Quiet in this specific category. Volker Bertelmann did, I think, 2 interviews with us alone, and many, many more. And don't count it out. I'm this close to switching to All Quiet, and I'm gonna kick myself if it ends up winning, because I know he's right there. I think it's one of those two. I'm not really considering John Williams for this one, or Banshees, or Everything Everywhere. This is a 50-50. I may flip a coin on Oscar night.
Daniel, you too?
I'm actually in the All Quiet on the Western Front camp, and I switched to it after the BAFTAs. I just think Babylon isn't that strong. It's only got 3 nominations. It's hard for me to see it winning 2 of those 3 nominations when it's not really that well liked. It's not impossible. That sort of thing's happened before, and, especially when it's something that's really strong below the line. But the fact that All Quiet could win the BAFTA, and it's so popular here overall, that makes me not feel confident about it. I do also think this is kind of 50-50. But I'm giving it the edge thanks to BAFTA.
Denton, is it Babylon or All Quiet?
I have All Quiet. It's really close, and Justin Hurwitz is a magnet. But All Quiet is the stronger film. That score is so haunting. Like, that's what lived with me after watching that movie, is just, the whole beginning, and it really, brings the story together. Babylon, yeah, there's loud, great music throughout the entire film. It's apples and oranges. These two scores could not be more different.
Isn't that the truth?
And what they bring to the movie, and they're both deserving. And the people that are voting for the Fabelmans and John Williams, and Banshees has a great score. And I guess never count Everything Everywhere out for anything. But I do agree with Marcus and Daniel that this is, a two film race, and I'm giving the slight edge to All Quiet. 0 confidence.
Best song, we have RRR from Not To from RRR, Lift Me Up from Black Panther Wakanda, Hold My Hand, Top Gun Maverick, Everything Everywhere All at Once, This Is a Life, and Applause from Tell It Like a Woman. Diane Warren, I don't think this is your year yet again. I think this is going to be Not To from RRR, not just because it's such a crowd favorite and a big fan pleaser, but it's so intrinsic to the plot of the film, and I think that should actually make a difference, to the direction of the movie, and it turned to the storyline on a dime, that song, but there's so much star power in all the other nominees. You've got Rihanna and Lady Gaga, and there's more star power in this category than any other. But I think this is RRR's. What do you think, Daniel?
Yeah, I think it's RRR. It's the only nominee in this category that really kind of captured, the culture, and really kind of broke out in that way. Lift Me Up sort of did. It debuted at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, but then kind of quickly fell off. I don't know that there's much enthusiasm around Hold My Hand compared to what Lady Gaga already won for. Again, I don't think Diane Warren, this is her year, especially not for a film that hardly anyone has seen. So yeah, I think Natu Natu is the right song at the right time.
Denton?
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I think this is probably going to be a landslide. I mean, it's the only one that's so important to the film, and it really stands out as being unique among the nominees. When you have all of those famous singer-songwriters, and yeah, it's just like nothing else. I think it's an easy call.
Remember before the Golden Globes, we were all predicting something else, you know, Lady Gaga, Rihanna, Natu Natu. And once the Globes cemented Natu Natu, every other award show followed suit, including, did the Gold Derby Awards give it to Natu Natu as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is one of those landslides. And this, I can't wait to see them do this on the big stage. Like, this is going to be one of those moments that's going to go viral.
God, the Golden Globes leading the way. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
Best sound, we've got All Quiet, Top Gun Maverick, Elvis, Avatar, The Way of Water, and The Batman. I think this is going to be All Quiet. The sound on that film was incredibly compelling and powerful, along with the score. I guess they kind of go hand in hand. And although you could make a Top Gun argument too. But this seems like one of those below the line categories that All Quiet should take. You agree, Denton?
Ah, that's interesting. Because I'm not agreeing with right now. I have Top Gun. But you make a really good point, and it is a war film. You know, Top Gun won both the guilds for sound editing and sound mixing. And sound mixing, it really impressed me winning over Elvis, because so many times a sound mixing award will go to the film with music. So the fact that Top Gun beat Elvis at the Sound Mixing Guild sort of kind of cemented that one in for me. You make a really good point about All Quiet, but this is the only Top Gun win I have. So I'm going to stick with Top Gun on this one, and I won't be surprised if All Quiet steals that.
Daniel, what do you think? Which one, Top Gun or All Quiet?
I've got Top Gun also. It won both the guilds. It didn't win at the BAFTA. BAFTA's leading my sort of analysis in a lot of categories, but not this one. I think Top Gun, it's not a war film per se, but it is a kind of military, that kind of action. And so I think the planes go vroom is going to slightly overtake the boom boom bang bang. And of course, these are technical terms. I'm sorry if they fly over everyone's head. But I would be wary of Elvis. It's the only music driven film in this category. The rest are fairly, action driven. So I think it could be close between those three, but yeah, I'm giving the slight edge to Top Gun.
Marcus, whose boom boom bang 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 are you leaning toward?
It's 3-1. I'm also Top Gun, Ray. You're on your own on this one for All Quiet. But it's the planes, it's the fighter jets. They were so noticeable, very loud, and that's usually what wins. The loudest movie often wins best sound at the Oscars.
Visual effects, we have Avatar: The Way of Water, Top Gun Maverick, The Batman, All Quiet on the Western Front, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This could be a very big lock, easy lock for the night for Avatar. If you're going to give it anything, visual effects is everything that it's about. You agree, Marcus?
Yeah, I'm looking at the odds. This is a blowout. Every single expert, every single editor, 22 of the top 24. So that's interesting. But this is one I haven't even thought of, I'll be honest. I predicted it when the Predictions Center opened, and I have not looked back.
Yeah. Denton, you too?
Yeah, I don't need to waste anyone's time with this.
Daniel, would you like to waste anyone's time?
No, not particularly. I think Avatar is pretty locked up here.
Animated feature, I think we have another lock here with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio turning red. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, and The Sea Beast. And uh, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is pretty much swept through award season, and I see really nothing stopping it for the Oscar as well.
It's interesting. I'm looking at the odds. Two experts have Marcel the Shell winning. One of us editors has Puss in Boots winning. So I
Really?
would like to talk to that person. But I mean, hasn't Pinocchio won every single guild has been nominated at?
I think so. Yes. As soon as Guillermo del Toro put himself in the title, he more or less assured it's winning.
Mhm.
But I mean, no, it's a really solid, wonderful film as well. That aside, would you agree, Daniel?
Yeah, Pinocchio is pretty far out front. It hasn't really lost anything along the way. I mean, I guess there's a chance that Puss in Boots or Marcel could upset. There's such Puss in Boots is the film that kind of surprised everyone being as good as it was, and Marcel is so different from anything else in this category. But honestly, if either of them was going to win, I think they would have won something by now.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pinocchio.
Denton, you too?
Yeah. I love Marcel the Shell though.
Me too.
Same.
Yeah, I don't think this one's gonna be close.
I would be voting for Marcel if I was an Oscar voter.
You know what? I really liked Pinocchio too, though. You know, I think it was very close for me.
Documentary feature, I think we might have an actual race here when it looked like it wasn't going to be for a long time. All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, Navalny, Fire of Love, All That Breathes, and A House Made of Splinters. And I have All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, but I think didn't you write something recently, Daniel, about how Navalny has risen on Gold Derby and is now up to #1. And that would actually make me happy. I think Navalny, is a great documentary and an incredibly important subject, and as many of these are. But I'm still going with All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, but I may switch before Sunday. What do you think, Denton?
Yeah, I think this is a three-way race. All the Beauty and the Bloodshed was their Gold Derby winner award, and they were the front runner for so long. Fire of Love won the Directors Guild award. It also it sort of won most of the guilds that it was up for. But Navalny, it's this sort of fast-paced political thriller. It seems like what the Academy votes for. It's current, and it's suspenseful, and you're watching this all sort of happen before your very eyes. The other films are all, beautiful and shot really well, but there's something different about this one that just feels important and timely, and I think that's the way they're going to go.
What do you think, Marcus?
Denton stole my word, important. That is what Navalny is. And it feels like a narrative feature film. It doesn't feel like a documentary, even though obviously it is. And it reminds me of, was it Icarus? That was about the Russian doping scandal. This is about, the Russian anti-Putin, I don't know what you call him.
A little like Citizen 4 too, kind of.
But you're all right. This is a three-way race, and I wouldn't be surprised if something else wins. But Navalny is my current pick. I think I have switched multiple times throughout this award season, but I am sticking with Navalny. I'm not going to switch at this point.
I'm probably going to switch back to Navalny.
And it won the BAFTA. Let's not forget that. Like it has taken a big precursor prize.
And the PGA too, right?
Yeah, and the PGA.
Daniel, you're going with Navalny?
Yeah, I'm going with Navalny, and I'm actually fairly confident about this one. Just the BAFTA plus PGA factor, and the fact that it's so important, and voting happened not long after the anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So there was a lot of that in sort of the public consciousness. A film about the opposition leader to Putin, I feel like is going to get a lot of symbolic support from voters who want to kind of make that statement against the Putin regime. So yeah, I think, and almost every time when the PGA winner is nominated for the Oscar, it almost always wins. So that's giving me some confidence here.
International film, I think this is a kind of a slam dunk. All Quiet on the Western Front, EO, Argentina 1985, close, and The Quiet Girl. I actually really loved EO. It's an incredibly dear, moving film. And Argentina 1985 is really kind of a thriller and beautifully done. But All Quiet has this. If it doesn't win, I think the Earth starts spinning the opposite way on its axis. Would you agree with that, Marcus?
Yeah, I think this is one of those luck categories. If RRR had been submitted and nominated, this would be a different race completely. Yeah. But this one's All Quiet.
Yeah. Daniel, you too?
Yeah, nothing much more to add. Whenever an international film is nominated for picture, it's virtually unbeatable for international film. Yeah. So that's my vote.
Denton.
Yeah, it's not a contest. Although EO, I mean, I think I felt my soul crush when I watched that movie. I just sort of wanted to die, and I don't know if that's the feeling that you want the Academy members to have. But it just made me feel like humanity should be extinct. But
it's true. Animated short, we've got My Year of Dicks, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, Ice Merchants. An Ostrich Told Me the World is Fake, and I Think I Believe It, and The Flying Sailor. And it's going to be one of the great moments of my life to hear them actually say My Year of Dicks on national television. And I think they're going to end up saying that because I'm choosing it to win. Although there are a few others, especially The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, that are prime contenders. But what do you think, Denton?
They're going to say it anyway because of the nominees, unless they chicken out and just go to the montage and just have it written on the screen, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
I think they could chicken out. This is broadcast television.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going with The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. It's long, and the longest doesn't usually win. However, I'm going to quote Chris Beecham here. He said they've campaigned harder than most of the feature films for Best Picture for this short animated film. So this is everywhere, and it's on Apple TV Plus. It's gotten a great reception. It's definitely the most visible, and there's been screenings being held all over the place. I think they have the edge here. My spoiler is actually an ostrich. If you can't decide an animated short, go with whatever has an animal in it. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse has 3 animals. So the ostrich has an animal.
And the even longer title.
Yeah. So that's where I'm going to stick with the odds on this one and go with The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse.
Marcus?
I do my best to watch all of the shorts each year. I could not find an ostrich to save my soul. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but I couldn't find it. So I still need to watch that before I finalize my pick. But I am going with The Boy, the Mole. It has campaigned, like you said, everywhere. But of the 4 I've seen, My Year of Dicks is the one that entertained me the most. That's the one I would vote for. And that's the one that I wouldn't be surprised if they called it. So I don't know. This is a tough one.
Daniel?
Yeah, these are always tough. This year I actually have seen all the shorts now.
Send me a link to the ostrich one.
I will. And I think there are 3 films that could do it. I think The Boy, the Mole, My Year of Dicks, and An Ostrich are the 3 that I would consider in this. I'm going with The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. One, it has the animals. It's the most accessible. It has a lot of heart and warmth to it, which I think helps, to really pull the heartstrings. The other ones are a little edgier, a little weirder, a little, occasionally more abstract. So I think they'll go with The Boy the Mole. But again, whenever I watch the shorts, it never helps me because my opinion and my analysis never sort of jives with what the Academy members think. So
And it was
take that with a
released
grain
on
of salt.
it was released on like Christmas, and it's very Charlie Brown. Like the feeling of it when you're watching it, it brings you back to that sort of time and animation and the messaging of what it stands for. I just think it's going to have the broadest appeal.
And when you mentioned the word, abstract, that's what won last year. The windshield wiper was a very abstract. I did not think it would win, and it did.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting close to the end. Gentlemen, documentary short. We have The Elephant Whisperers, How Do You Measure a Year? The Martha Mitchell Effect, Stranger at the Gate, and Haul Out. I haven't seen all of these, I will admit, but I'm going to go with the Gold Derby favorite of The Elephant Whisperers. And what about you, Marcus?
I would agree with that. And was it Charles Bright who said that The Elephant Whisperers was just like one of the best movies he's seen all year? I hope I'm not putting words in his mouth, but people that have seen this movie absolutely love it. So I'm going with that.
Denton, what do you think?
This one's killing me because Elephant Whisperers of all 15 shorts was my favorite. I love this movie so much, and it's on Netflix. It's accessible, but I'm going back and forth because Stranger at the Gate. Again, if you go back to what's important, you've seen this skyrocket in our odds too. It went from 5th, now it's in 2nd. It's going up, 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 up. Now a lot of the experts have switched to Stranger at the Gate. It's about a former Marine who was planning a bomb attack on a mosque, and he went in there and ends up getting to know these people and converting to Islam. I mean, it's just so Oscar bait. Like, it's just unbelievable. So The Elephant Whisperers, it's so beautifully shot, but it's in a foreign language. It's about elephants. Stranger at the Gate is about politics and prejudice in America, and that's why right now I switched to Stranger at the Gate, and I feel terrible about that because I love Elephant Whisperers. But I think it's a close race.
Daniel, what do you think?
This one's a tough one. I think any of these can win except maybe Haul Out. No offense to that film, but it's a mostly wordless documentary about walruses, which are they're not as cuddly to probably the average viewer as the elephants of The Elephant Whisperers. Again, you've got the cute animals, you've got the heartfelt story, you have the environmental sort of angle to it. I agree, Stranger at the Gate it does have that timeliness. It might just be my bias that I feel like the film would have been better served as a feature, because I feel like it sort of elides a lot, and it could use more detail on some of the things it just sort of glances over. But it certainly, How Do You Measure a Year is going to get parents in the Academy, certainly in the heartstrings. The Martha Mitchell Effect, maybe not. But again, that's a topical one about presidential corruption. So, I wouldn't count that out either. So it's a 4-way race, but I'm sticking with the odds and going with Elephant Whisperers.
Okay, did we all check in on it? I think we did. Live action short, finally, our final category. We have the Red Suitcase. Is it Le Pupille? An Irish Goodbye, Ivalu, and Night Ride. And I think is it the red? No, I think is it Le Pupille? Who's which one is our favorite right
Le
now?
Pupille is number 1 by a lot of votes at Gold Derby.
Okay, all right. I haven't seen all of these. I saw the Red Suitcase, which is terrific.
Yeah.
And very well done. So I'm going with the one that I saw. Denton, what do you think?
That's probably what a lot of voters do. You know, it might have helped if this was called Alfonso Cuarón's Le Pupil.
Oh yeah.
Because this was produced by him, and I think that's why a lot of people are going with it. It's long and it's on Disney Plus. I mean, it's long for a short, and it's accessible. I'm going with An Irish Goodbye. It's the only comedy, or only true comedy, and it's in English. And I think, you know, when you look at the history of this category, they tend to favor films that are in the English language with. And it has maybe the best title, An Irish Goodbye. You know, everyone wants to see what's that about. So
Sounds like a mob film.
yeah, I'm going I'm going with that one.
Marcus?
So I've seen two of these. I saw Le Pupil and Night Ride, and neither of them connected to me. I was kind of, you know, scrolling through my phone as they were on. I was like a little bit bored. So I'm for that reason alone, I'm not predicting those two. By default, I have Irish Goodbye at number one. I still need to see Irish Goodbye, Red Suitcase, and Evalu. But based on what everything Denton just said, I feel like I'm making a good prediction with An Irish Goodbye.
And Daniel?
I do think you're making a good prediction with An Irish Goodbye, because I'm also predicting it. Again, this is the only category where I changed my prediction after watching the shorts. I saw Le Pupil, and it didn't connect with me either, but you know, it's almost designed that way. Like, it tells the viewer, you know, the story kind of doesn't mean anything, explicitly. And so it doesn't really have a satisfying payoff in any way. And Irish Goodbye is heartwarming. It's funny. It's in the English language, which is an advantage usually. So I'm going with Irish Goodbye. I'd still say Le Pupil has a shot, and the Red Suitcase has a shot. I'd be surprised if the other two won, but yeah. So but again, you know, whenever I watch the shorts, I get it wrong because I'm suddenly thinking about it, and you know, my thought process rarely matches the Academy's.
I would love for someone to go back and look at the official Gold Derby predictions each year and see how many collectively did we get right? Did we get 3 1 year, 1 year, 2? Like, what's the average? Because this year I'm going with 2 of the 3 overall odds. The one I'm going against the odds is live action short.
I'm against 2 of them, but I might switch back my documentary short to Elephant Whisperers. It's probably the only category I'm wavering that I could possibly switch before Sunday. The rest, I think I'm just going to leave them alone. These last minute changes hardly ever pay off for me. And if I change 2, usually one will be right and one will be wrong, and it doesn't matter anyway. So I think I'm done, other than I'm going to think about documentary short for just a minute.
Right.
And speaking of Sunday, that's when the 95th Academy Awards are, and we will be back with pre-show and post-show comments, as well as lots of stories on Gold Derby. And I hope everyone will be joining us to find out just how right or wrong we all were. Thank you, Marcus and Denton and Daniel. I'm Ray Richmond, and we'll see you soon.